Hi, I'm Kimberlie Acosta with IndianCountryTV.com, and we're here on the last day of the Nagaajiwanaang Language Camp with Esther Humphrey from the Leech Lake Reservation in Minnesota. And I wanted to talk to her about the camp here this weekend, and she also was on the water walk where that came into Bad River a couple weeks ago. Can you tell us about your experience with the water walk and the language camp here?
The language camp, because we're here, it was the first time I came was last year, and I came because a friend of mine who is now crossed over, Carrie Esty, invited me and asked me if I would be her assistant in her pottery lodge, which was right there last year. And it was the first time I came here. And it was such a good experience for me and my kids that we came back this year, even though we weren't doing nothing. But it's good because they've been busy making friends and making drums and swimming, and I got a chance to make another pair of rice knockers because mine were so awesome last year that somebody last ricing season took them right out of my canoe. So I made another pair. And then somebody else on the shores during the polling competition, they gave me their pair that they made yesterday. So that was kind of cool. I was gifted an extra set. And I'm learning how to do quill work. I'm making myself some quill earrings. And I learned how to do peel the birch bark and to bite the floral designs and stuff. That was really cool. But I'm just a big supporter of the whole reason, why they do this language camp, and just to try to make sure our language lives on through our kids. I was talking with Ivy Vineo a couple nights ago, and she said, "Why do you keep coming?" And I said, "Because I want my kids to build community among themselves with the other young people here, because we don't know if we're going to be here in 10, 20, 30 years, I mean, our language and our ways and everything. What if they ban it? What if they outlaw it again? And what if our kids, some of these kids are somewhere far away, 10, 20, 30 years, and they're sitting around there saying, one time I went to this camp and this is what I learned, and it's just going to be like a little spark in all these little kids, and it's going to start igniting all over the place. It's going to build a flame, and our cultures, it's just going to our culture is going to ignite again among all these little ones who are here, just even if they're not 100% involved and has all their attention. They're still listening, and they're still watching, and they're still learning no matter what they're doing. And that's why I keep bringing my kids, and that's why I'm so glad that there's so many little kids running around here. It makes me happy to know that through them is how we live on, and our language and these ways and all these crafts. A lot of people come out here and they're saying, "Oh, I want to learn that craft." It's not a craft, man. This is how we survive. So that's why I want my kids to keep coming. And the highlight of my weekend, I suppose, was just sitting on the shores here on the ground, and there was a whole bunch of elders sitting behind me just talking in Ojibwe and laughing, and I couldn't understand them, but I really didn't care. It's just almost like music, when you're listening to music, you just kind of get lost in it, and it was like that with just listening to music, our language, just kind of getting lost in it. I didn't know what they were saying, but it's good to hear. Maybe one day all that stuff will just kind of snap into place, and I'll say, "Yeah, hey, I know how to say that," or whatever. My involvement with the water walk, I had heard about it a long time ago, before I had come to a hand drum gathering here in Fond du Lac a couple years ago, and there were some women there, and they were singing some water songs, and I think it's the love of the water, is kind of innate in Anishinaabe people, and you're just kind of pulled towards it. There's just nothing you can do about it. It's just in us, and during that hand drum gathering, these women, there were some from Canada and some from Upper Michigan, I think, and they're singing these water songs and trying to teach people and stuff, and I think it was during one of the supper breaks, there was a whole bunch of women just sitting around talking about, what could we do, what are we going to do for the next hand drum gathering or whatever. And it was kind of around the time where everybody was kind of following that Mayan calendar, and they were all scared about the end of the world coming to an end and everything like that, and there were a lot of other things going on too. I think it was the time when the 13 grandmothers were traveling, and there was a gathering on Madeline Island, and lots of stuff happening. And just through conversation, we had all come to this thing that we were gonna gather in 13 communities or 13 areas around Lake Superior on July 26th, because July 26th doesn't really exist on the Mayan calendar. It's the only day it doesn't exist. So we thought, we'd gather on that day in these 13 areas around Lake Superior, and we'd try to sing these water songs, in an effort to heal the water and do what we could for that water in that way. And then it seemed like that following year, a lot of us had gone through a lot of personal losses, and it was kind of, how you're suffering and you're trying to heal and deal with things. You push a lot of things aside. So that gathering and our plan to do that was kind of pushed aside. But a friend of mine from Minneapolis, I had been chatting with her one night on Facebook, and she said, I have these video clips from this lady who's walking around Lake Superior, and it was that Josephine Mandamin. She'd sent me these videos of her documentary that I forget who did it. Maybe one of you guys.
Yeah, we did some stuff on him. It would have been Nick Vanderpie that interviewed her.
Yep. So my friend Christine sent me a bunch of those videos, and I was watching them. I was thinking, you know what, this is amazing. And just as time grew closer, I started investigating it more. And
you helped organize it for the Cass Lake area and some of the tribes around here, just to get the people involved, correct?
Well, kind of help out, because in following the water walk, it was like all the directions had a really hard time in finding lodging and walkers and food, and it just sounded like they had a really hard time. And I thought, you know what, when they get close to where I'm at, I don't want them to have to worry about anything. I don't want them to have a hard time. I want everything to be taken care of. So we started organizing and some women and some other people around the community in Cass Lake. We started meeting every Thursday night in Cass Lake, and people from White Earth would come, and people from Red Lake would come, and just the community, Bemidji people. I think a couple times there were some women from Grand Rapids who came, and as the date grew closer, that they were going to be closer to our area, because we wanted to take care of them as soon as they entered Minnesota. So we thought, okay, if we could confirm some people and some events and some lodging in the Foston Bagley area through the White Earth, then let's do it, And as they got closer to Bemidji, let's have like Red Lake take care of it, and find them places and people to stay with. And then further, Leech Lake would do it. And Leech Lake spans almost over to Grand Rapids, so we thought, we carry them that far, maybe beyond, and then Fond du Lac could take over, So we had lodging and meals and everything just really set up for them, and it was nice because when the organizers, Nicole, she said it was really, really good. She said because when they came through your area, we didn't have to worry about nothing.
And you actually went up beyond and spent 19 days walking with them and drove out to North Dakota, correct?
Yeah. I 19 days of walking, not all together, because I went to North Dakota for a few days before I even started walking towards my area in Cass Lake.
Can you give us an experience, what the experience was with walking with the water?
It was different, because I helped to carry the West Water. And then when we got to Duluth on June 1st, I didn't think it was done, and I didn't want to leave it. You get that connection with that. And it was, I didn't want to leave it. I felt like I was abandoning it. If I were just to turn around and go back home, I thought, I'm abandoning it, and I don't want to leave.
It almost becomes like a child.
It did. And so when I knew that the West Water was resting and being taken care of, I emailed one of the organizers, I think it was Joanne Robertson, and asked her, where do you want me to go? If I was going to go somewhere else, where would you send me? And she said to go north, which was odd because my helpers were like, what are you doing with the west? You should be in the north, right from the get. And so I did. I headed up towards Canada the very next day at about 4:30, 5 o'clock that morning, and met them 8 miles south of International Falls, and then walked with the North Water to Duluth, and then and again when we got to Duluth, it was like, oh, the West Water, the West Water, I'm getting close to the West Water, and there was nobody, none of the original walkers to carry the West Water. So when I got to Duluth, I carried the West Water through most of Duluth, and then I felt like I was abandoning that North Water, so, but the West Water, it was like there was almost a gentleness, like a really like a softness kind of about carrying that water. Was a real mellow feeling, and with the North, it wasn't a burden, but it was or troubled. It was there was just a different feeling, almost like a sadness with it. But then when we got closer to Duluth, it was like there was a pulling force with that North Water.
Like it needed the healing?
Like it needed to go somewhere. Like it was just pulling. And I noticed I carried that North Water differently than I carried that West Water too. I would carry it really high and really close to me. In the West, I would carry it lower, but a little ahead of me. And so yeah, there was a real difference, in the feeling when you're carrying that water. Yeah.
So do you want to share us how the connection between like the language camp and how the water walk, how there really is a connection? You want to share with us that?
Well, I think it's all, like I said, it's all in us, and that's what they always say. You have a hard time, you're having issues or troubles or whatever, look within, because everything we need is already in us. And our bodies, what are 75% water, so we carry that water no matter what. We don't have to be carrying it in that copper vessel because it's already within us. The culture, the language, I think I've heard too, they say that because I know this person who speaks just fluent, and it's just unreal. And he goes, I was telling him, I said, I've taken, I don't know how many years of Ojibwe language. I sit and I try to get it, and it just doesn't stick, and it still hasn't. And he said one day, when you're really, really, really ready to accept that responsibility, he said, it'll come to you. It'll come to you just like a wave. It'll just go.
It'll just all like a light bulb going off.
Yeah, and you'll know it, And I'm not gonna sit back and wait for that day to happen. I'm gonna keep coming to things like this and fill my spirit with this, and just try to stay healthy in this way,
Is there, if there was one message you could leave us with, what would that be?
I don't know. I guess just keep on keeping on. That's all we really can do. All these, this is just a little tiny bit. This is only 4 days of my life, and this is just a little bit. But look at all the people around us. Look at all the people who are just doing a little bit. That little tiny bit from all of us is something huge, And this makes our ancestors happy,
Well, Chimigwich for talking with us, and it's nice to see you again. This is Kimberlie Acosta with IndianCountryTV.com.